Hey guys, we're at a nice little park near downtown Vancouver. We're checking out the Giant Rove E+. It's an electric bike that comes in two different frame styles. We're looking at the step through, kind of mid-step, because it does have this top tube here. Very approachable. This thing comes in 3 different sizes for the step through, or you can get a high step, might be a little bit stiffer, and that one comes in 4 frame sizes, which is awesome. And that one also has bottle cage bosses on the seat tube. That's really the only difference. They both have the same motor, the same drivetrain, the same suspension. It's a pretty cool bike. I see this as like a hybrid, okay, because it has these gravel ready sort of off-road tires and a suspension fork, but it's kind of set up for the city too. It's got a little bit of a low-rise handlebar, ergonomic grips, comfort saddle, and you could even add a rear rack or fenders. As you can see, there's a mounting point right there, some threaded eyelets, and then up here there's a hole, and there are even bosses on the lowers of that suspension fork. So it's a really versatile bike. Giant is one of the big 3 bicycle manufacturers in the world, and they have physical stores, so you can go in, you can get fitted, you can ask questions, you can try the different frame sizes. It's pretty cool. This thing has like a 2-year comprehensive warranty. It's a 1-year limited warranty on the battery. So if you really cycle this a lot or it gets damaged, it's a little touchier there, but they have lifetime frame, and their frames are really nice. I love how this looks. You know, everything's black. It's really beautiful. You can even see a black hub, black spokes, black rims, and it only comes in black. So keep that in mind. There is another brand called Liv, which is sort of the women's specific Giant brand, and they have a bike that's very, very similar. It's called the Rove E+. It only comes in the mid-step frame style, but they've got 4 sizes, and it's kind of this soft light green color. So this is the most affordable model from Giant when it comes to electric bikes, $2,750 USD, which isn't too bad, but they really had to limit what the bike comes with to keep the price low. So we don't have any integrated lights. It doesn't come with fenders or racks or anything, but of course they do offer those, and they can help you get set up if you want. It also doesn't come with a kickstand, but they went ahead and set this one up for me, and I think sometimes they might even throw it in, which is great. I love that this thing is tool-free, adjustable, so you can get the bike standing just perfectly. It's mounted in exactly where I would like. You're not gonna get pedal lock if you back the bike out of your garage or something. You know, this is a high-quality bike. Quick release up front, 100mm hub spacing, very traditional, 135mm hub spacing in the rear. It's a good setup, and I love even the rims here. Look at this. They've got reinforcement eyelets. That improves the strength. I think up front we have 28 spokes versus 32 in the rear, so it keeps it a little bit lighter. I mean, the bike itself, I weighed it, it's about 49 pounds. I thought maybe it would be lighter because it doesn't have the fenders or anything, but I guess it starts to add up a little bit, about 7.5 pounds for the battery, another 7 pounds for the motor, but at least, again, the weight, it's right where you want it, and the bike handles really well. The geometry is just dialed in. So looking at some of the components here, we have 170mm crank arms, these cage-style Well-Go pedals. They let snow and mud get pushed right through. They aren't very wide, and this outer metal piece is actually steel, which can start to rust if it gets scratched over time. And I've seen these get sharpened or even bent in when a bike is laid down. And again, this bike doesn't necessarily come with a kickstand, so be careful with these, or consider swapping them with an aluminum alloy platform like these BMX pedals from Well-Go. We've got a 42-tooth steel chainring, and it has this nice aluminum alloy guard, which is going to protect the bottom bracket if you come into contact with a log or a rock. It's also going to protect your pants or dress so they don't touch the chain and get all greasy. And then back here we have a 9-speed cassette and an advent from Microshift derailleur, which is really a nice derailleur. It even has like this clutch engagement so it can keep the chain a little bit tighter and it won't bounce around. If it does still bounce around, they have this nice clear sticker slap guard, so it's very well thought out. You know, this was a surprise to me because the specs on the website say it have Shimano Alivio 11 to 36 tooth cassette, but this one's actually 11 to 42, so it's a wider range. Microshift is just another brand. This might be down to supply chain constraints and stuff. You know, the manufacturers are all juggling trying to get these bikes, make them available. To me, that's kind of an upgrade. I like that. And then the trigger shifters up here are very nice as well. You can see they say Advent. We got this rubberized pad, and they both use your thumb. Sometimes the Shimano shifters, they'll use your pointer finger for like the high gear, and I like to keep those fingers available for braking. The brakes on the bike are pretty good. These are Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, kind of a 2-finger levers, adjustable reach. So if you do get like the small frame size, you can bring these in. You won't have to reach quite as far. Up front, we've got a 180 millimeter rotor. That's awesome. A lot of your weight will like shift forward as you brake. So having a larger rotor increases the cooling, and it also gives you a mechanical advantage. Standard dual piston calipers. In the rear, 160 millimeter rotor. So yeah, again, bigger up front. Definitely appreciate that. The seat's pretty comfortable so far. Again, it's branded Giant, which is kind of nice, and 30.9 millimeter seat post, which is rigid. It's about 350 millimeters long, so you've got good adjustability there. But I mentioned the sizing on that in case you want to upgrade to like a suspension seat post and improve the overall comfort. You know, the suspension fork is decent, but it's kind of basic, right? It's SR Suntour. They've taken off the branding on the lowers here. 63 millimeters of travel, and it does have preload adjust under these caps. You have to pull them off and then dial them in tandem to preload that spring if you're someone who's a little bit heavier. The tires also offer a decent pressure range, 50 to 70 psi. So if you're a lighter weight rider or you just want comfort, you can go down to the lower end of the psi. Or if you want efficiency and quieter, just faster rolling, you get that 70 psi. They're tubeless-ready, which would reduce some of the weight. And because these are like 28-inch wheels, you get a lower attack angle, just rolls really smoothly over cracks and bumps and stuff. So again, for me, these are like, they're kind of trail ready. It's kind of a light cross country, but I think a lot of people would just ride around town with the occasional little gravel path. This bike would be perfect for that. And this is a straight 1.125" head tube, so you could swap this fork out if you wanted to get one with lockout or something. We've got a few spacers here, 10 millimeter, 3.5 millimeters, a relatively short stem, so it brings the handlebar back. And because this is low rise, you can kind of twist it forward or back to extend or decrease your reach. I love the ergonomic grips, locking, just overall cockpit very clean because it has kind of a minimalist LED control pad display panel thing going on. I turn the bike around so we can talk about the battery pack and the motor. I love how the shield on the battery is color matched. It just blends in, keeps the weight low and center, and it comes out from the side, right, like this, which is great because that allows for that really approachable mid-step, step-through frame design. About 7.5 pounds. There's the charge port under that rubber flap, and this is rated at about 400 watt-hours. It's a 36-volt pack. Pretty nice. Just get this back on, kind of set it here, make sure the keys are clear, get it all the way in, and then lock, and you can pull those keys right out. Even got a little charge level indicator built in, which is pretty cool. You know, I feel like the charger is great because it offers 3 amps. It's faster. It only weighs about 1.5 pounds, and it's fairly compact. A lot of e-bike chargers are just 2 amps, and some of them can get kind of big and heavy, so they're doing a good job on that. But that said, where the battery is and where the charge port is, again, it's on the left side of the bike, and it's kind of low, so if you were charging the battery while it's on the bike, the plug kind of get in the way of the crank arms. You just don't want to get snagged or broken. I feel like there's enough space here to make it work. Just be careful. They've got a little bit of friction built in, but this could still get spun around and bump that. And this is one of the more sensitive and expensive parts of the bike, so keep that in mind. Down here we have the motor. This is the Giant SyncDrive core in combination with Yamaha. So it's actually powered by Yamaha, you can see right there. This is really quiet, efficient motor. They do a pretty good job. Yamaha's been around for a long time. I look at them and Bosch. They're kind of like the old school. They've really dialed it in. And there's no, shift detection on this, but it is a multi-sensor motor. You can see there's a sensor here that is listening for that magnet, so that's your rear wheel speed. There's pedal cadence and pedal torque, so it's measuring all 3 signals to give you a really smooth, dynamic feel. It's great, but there is a limitation on this one. It's rated at 250 watts nominal and up to 50 newton meters of torque. So this is your lighter, more efficient SyncDrive. There are more powerful ones on some of the other bikes from Giant if you want that. But then, you need a higher capacity battery, which ends up costing more and weighing more. So I feel like this is a really good fit for this bike. Got a nice plastic shield. The maximum RPM support on this motor I think it's 100 RPM. So that's one of the trade-offs. I don't think everyone would notice it, but the takeaway is if you shift to the lowest gear and you pedal really, really fast, the motor might not be able to give you support at those higher RPMs. It's a minor thing, and for a bike like this that's kind of a hybrid, get around town, I think it's fine, but I want to point that out. Okay, with that said, let's power this puppy on. So we just come to the display panel here, press the little power button. You can see these white LEDs light up. On the right, we have 5 dots. Each one is like a 20% step. So right now, they're all 5 of them. They're all lit up, but it's not actually full. You can use the app, which uses Bluetooth, and that'll tell you an exact percentage. So it's actually like 85% full right now. So I wanted to give you that feedback. And then we have pedal assist level right here in the middle. So we can take it all the way down to none. And then this bike is just a heavier bicycle. And we got the first level, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So there are 5 levels. There's also a walk mode button down here. If we press that for a second, you'll see the lights do a little dance. And then we hold the up arrow and it really gets going. Now, depending on what gear you're in, it's gonna go faster or slower. And that's kind of it. I mean, again, very approachable, intuitive system. The app gives you some really cool adjustments. So I'm gonna pull that up real quick too. So the app is called RideControl. We just connect the bike here. You can see the battery percentage, 85%, and then bike setup, which is pretty cool. This is where all the options are. So it says SyncDrive motor tuning. We can adjust each level of assist, Eco, Eco Plus, Normal, Sport, or Sport Plus. And you're basically saying, you know, how much power do I want from these? Do I want Sport to be really powerful or kind of gentle? And you can dial it in. We also have system check, which is pretty cool. You can check each one of these components, the RideControl display, the SyncDrive motor, and the energy pack battery. And then down here, bike details. I can see the model year, the total mileage, the distance since last serviced, all this stuff. We can also plan routes. You can see your speed, ride distance, and ride time. This would be very nice. It's like a little dashboard if you mounted the phone to the handlebars up like this. That would be pretty cool. But there's no USB charging ports or anything, so you'd be draining your battery over time. Kind of keep that in mind and maybe get a little battery backpack for your phone if you plan to go on a long ride. Ride history and the settings. It's a nice little app, you know, it's got a few cool features. And since you don't have an LCD display with this bike, I like that it gives you sort of the, you know, current speed and the map options. That's great. Got a nice bike path here. I'm in the highest level of assist. I'm just gonna take this puppy for a ride. Pretty responsive, a little bit of a hiccup, kind of it jolts when it first starts. Again, this is the highest level of assist, but it's fairly quiet. You know, that's one of the things I noticed. Even at higher RPM, motors tend to make more noise when you're pedaling fast. I can feel myself outpacing it a bit. Remember I mentioned the 100 RPM maximum support. You do kind of notice that if you've tried other bike motors before. Okay, I shifted up to a higher gear. Really smooth and quiet, very stable. Yeah, the bike just feels very natural. It's one of the more quiet and comfortable electric bikes I've covered. And you can definitely hear the gear shifting going into a higher gear. Kind of clunks. You know, it doesn't have the fancy shift detection, but if you ease off a little bit as you're shifting, it can get a little bit quieter, and that's nice. Thanks for your help.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Okay. Hope you guys have a great day.
You too, enjoy the bike.
Appreciate it. Well guys, it's been a beautiful afternoon. It was really fun to check this out. That's the Rome E Plus. It's the entry-level model from Giant and their electric bike line. I love that they chose to do it as a hybrid because it's just so versatile. And yeah, you know, you might end up spending some extra for the fenders and rack and stuff and lights. Make sure you're safe, but not everyone needs those, so I think it makes sense. For the full written review, check out ElectricBikeReview.com. I've got a comparison tool. I've got some forums there to try to help you out. I love you guys. Ride safe, and we'll see you next time.